Yeah, we good?
What's up,
Yep.
everybody? It's the 30's perspective. We are back from our hiatus. Whoop, whoop,
Woo!
whoop, whoop, whoop. We have a special guest tonight, a returning special guest. Everybody say what's up to Elise.
Hey,
Hey,
hey.
Elise. Go, Elise. Go, go.
Go, Elise.
Oh.
Go,
Right?
go, go. Shout out to Alicia.
What up, though? What up, though?
Shout out to B Mike.
Sup? Let's do this.
And I'm Sherelle Unique. Tonight's B Mike's episode, so
Yeah.
get us
All right, cool. So tonight we're going to really kind of get into a thing I think has been going back and forth for a long time between like Gen X and senior millennials and like Zoomers and Gen A's. So Generation Z and Gen A's. And it's all about, pretty much the media. Like this whole now we're becoming the old school versus what's coming out now. And what's cool about the millennials that we can traverse between both worlds, but the discussion still needs to happen. So promote media thinning them. Because hey, we can do both sides, man. We're on the left bank, we're on the right bank. We're on the east bank, we're on the west bank.
Listen, we're not too old that we don't know what's going on, but we ain't too young to put these young kids in their place.
But I feel like some people are giving up, man. I got friends that are just like, I'm done.
Okay, but real quick, let's make sure everybody understands. The age bracket for millennials is like 1982 to like 1994.
Yeah, it's 94 is the cutoff.
So it's like if you are anywhere between 82 and 90, then I feel like you're on that cusp of knowing
you're
both
a senior,
sides.
yeah. You're a senior millennial.
You're a senior millennial, but anything after that, you're a junior millennial. And you might have gotten some of the like before dial-up and before like cell phones or whatever, some of it, but like anyone who's before that, a senior millennial.
I don't know if junior millennials remember them being ashtrays in car doors.
Right.
Or the lighter in the car.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah. All right, so
or the wind up window. Right,
the
wind windows.
and then it would get off the truck and it'd be stuck.
Yo, listen, all I know is that you cannot be on the phone and on the internet at the same time.
I remember getting yelled at for that. So my mom eventually got a second line because I gotta do homework. But I was on there like talking to people.
Right. What were you talking on?
Does anybody remember AIM?
Talking on, Mike? What was you talking on?
On AIM. We're on AIM or MSN Messenger.
AIM.
Right, or AOL.
Yeah. That's right. AOL Instant Messenger on that AIM, man.
They'll never understand that dial-up sound.
You hear that door open, you see, who came on?
Right.
Yep.
Right. They'll never understand that dial-up.
I'm telling you right now, the reason why I type as fast as I do is because I used to have 8 conversations happening. Well, yeah, the thought, but like my typing skills, I'm up to like 72 words a minute because that's what I was doing. And I had to take on 8 convos,
When you had to write
all your female friends.
When you had to write 2.
Yo, wait, real quick.
8.
Oh yeah, when
your parents would roll up, like, what you doing? Yep.
Well, he's just talking about when you was texting and you had to text the letter.
Oh, you talking about the T9 texting? I was a beast at that too.
Right. And don't let you pass the letter that you need. It's like,
there goes Pat. And then you talk, man. People complain about there being not enough characters on Twitter. Yo, you only have so many characters on that text. They'll just cut you off.
Nah, these kids don't even understand, bro.
Here's the ultimate thing I think they don't understand. And maybe I don't understand it because I don't know if girls did this as much as guys did, but calling a girl's house and hoping her parents didn't answer. And then when they did, you really had to like get past the parent security. Like you had to impress the parents on the phone to get to the girl to talk to her. That was a thing.
Was that
Nobody
a thing?
will ever understand.
See? Yep. She don't even know.
Being surprised on a 3-way call. You'll never.
Oh, 3-way sting. I know. I talked about that. Y'all heard about my 3-way sting in 8th grade issue? Y'all heard about that. Y'all heard about that.
I'm telling you, nobody will ever understand that until
I never had to experience that, but I knew about it.
See, man, they don't get it, man.
There was this dude I was dating in high school. I mean not high school, but 6th grade.
Middle school.
He was the only
You was dating in 6th grade? Lucky.
No, I wasn't. My parents didn't know. I was being sneaky. But anyways, he was only one of the 3 other Black people that was in my elementary school. So for me, I was like, all right, cool. He likes me. I like him. Let's get it, right? So I was talking to him, and then I got on the phone with this one girl, and we was talking on the phone, and I was telling her, and she said, he broke up with you because he's with me now. And I said, excuse me? She was like, he don't go with you no more. He goes with me. And I was like,
that's bold.
That's back when the word "going with" was a thing. You can't even say that now as an adult. I go with her.
Where y'all going?
I go with. No, I'm gonna use that this week somewhere.
I hear his voice.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. So me, I kind of got real ignorant. I was like, so I got you. And
Yep. No. See, idiot moments like that is how you learn. So he must have, that fucked him up. So he probably don't do that no more.
Who?
Keep your mouth shut.
No, I don't. I just never. I just knew who I could date and who I couldn't, and who was as beautiful Black women and who wasn't.
There we go.
You missed that.
All right.
And guess who's married? Guess who ain't?
Well, maybe it doesn't look like having one woman's his goal. So maybe that's not what he wants.
No, I don't know if he likes women anymore.
Oh. Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
The plot twist.
So that felt like there's some tea sipping happening right there. All right, so let's move on. First icebreaker beyond what we just had. The icebreaker. All right, Rihanna. Rihanna just had her last concert on Amazon Prime. Her Fenty lingerie fashion show concert. And she definitely got some praises for having women of different ethnicities in different body shapes and sizes as her models. That's good. But she also got some ridicule because of using excerpts of the Quran as part of her song Doom. And that was a big controversy. So I guess the question is...
Because I tried to look it up and I couldn't find it. She did what?
It's on Amazon Prime. That's probably what. She used... she did. The producer of Doom made this nice little EDM beat type of song that she actually been using since 2017. And she got some flack for it back then, but this was bigger. Uses excerpts from the Quran as a sample in the song. And even though the producer said, "Hey, look, I didn't do a due diligence on my research on this. Thought it just sounded good for the song. I should have did better with that." There was a lot of anger towards Rihanna for one. They felt it was disrespectful for her to use that as part of a lingerie show, and two, because she's been using it since 2017, and she's been receiving ridicule and criticism since then that she does not listen to her fans and their concerns, and so they were upset about that as well.
Do these fans go out there and make this music? Did the fans put in the long hours? No. So I don't believe in all of that. I don't. Like, yeah, it's nice whenever, but nobody, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I don't agree with that. Now, for people to be mad about her using excerpts from the Quran, I got mixed feelings about that, but it's not like she's the first musician to use inserts from the Bible or any other. She's not the first, and she ain't gonna be the last. So I don't understand what that kickback's about. Because everybody had a problem when Kanye was talking about Jesus walks, and he was talking about he's Jesus and all that good stuff.
Well, Jesus Walks ended up being a hit in the club for like. All right, so you hear about this one. So Jesus Walks was probably one of it, only or one of few songs about that had references to Jesus or the Bible that made it to like the urban club scene. And so you are, to be if you're Christian and you're all about spreading the word and influence. To I don't feel that's a bad thing if you're bringing awareness and influence such as Jesus Walks.
Yeah, but people also find it disrespectful to be using that terminology. Like, it's not to be played. Like, some people feel it's not supposed to be played with or kind of just used as using that in that way.
Right. I know. I understand. They feel like it's
There's a
taking
difference
away the
between like
purity of
using
it
it
or
for
something.
as how he did. But what I'm saying is that like it's the same thing with her using excerpts from.
It almost feels like
I don't find it any.
Walks is the same thing as what she's doing.
Right.
Personally, I think it's two different things. But I just wish people would just respect other people's religions. That's what I would in a perfect world. I wish that would be what the deal was. And I think Rihanna's a a-hole, honestly, just in general. I just think she is. Yeah. So I just feel like, why would you do that for her? Like she clout chases a lot. She's a troll. Like she just does stuff just for attention, and I don't like it. That's my opinion.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if she's as much of. I don't know if she's aware of it as much as the producer was. Like the producer gave her a hot beat, and she went with it. And the producer didn't. He's the one who chose the samples. He's the one who chose all the sound bites for the song. Who is she more responsible or she more responsible?
Because when I think of her track record, I don't know that I'm buying that she didn't know.
All right.
I don't follow Rihanna enough to be like, yeah, that's what she does. She cloud chases, or that's who she is, or she's an a-hole. Like, I don't follow her at all. Like, some of her music is good. I appreciate her for some of the stuff that she wrote. But like, as far as like following Rihanna, I don't know nothing about it, so I can't even like.
I'll say that most major artists clout chase to a certain degree.
I think it's kind of a part of the job description when you're somebody who is a well-known celebrity who has put out hit after hit after hit. Now, and me personally, I'm in favor of those who are Muslim and who took offense to this, mainly because I don't see it as being any different than appropriating a culture. So it's like the people who were offended were allowed to be offended, and I think that if Rihanna was ignoring fans, if she's been using this for the last 3-4 years now, if she was ignoring it, then that is bad on her part, and she needs to do better. Because I mean, her whole entire, like, her whole entire legacy, if you want to call it that, is based off of her fan base. I mean, it's the reason why she's able to become the entrepreneur that she is and create her makeup line and create her clothing line and everything else, and the people who she's catering to. It's why so many people like her. It's why so many people admire who she is. I, for one, love Rihanna. Like, she doesn't really care about your opinion or what you think or whatever, but she also keeps, besides the whole Chris Brown stuff, because I feel like because of who Chris Brown was is why that was so public. She pretty much keeps her business. Like, I don't really know too much about Rihanna outside of her stardom. So it's like, I have a lot of respect for celebrities in general who have the ability to keep what they can private. So yeah.
All right.
No, not about her.
I got mixed feelings on this. One, I'm really working on trying to respect people's feelings about stuff without necessarily fully understanding, because it may not be my experience in my life, whatever. But then the musician part of me is like, if the song's hot, it's hot. But that's where I'm at on that one. All right, so we discussed that. I'm gonna check out the full concert this week and go and see what it's all about. But all right, so that kind of leads back into what we're gonna talk about in terms of media today, you know, in the 21st century versus the 20th century. In terms of that, though, that leads directly into, when it comes to influencers, it seems that now media is extremely critical of anyone doing anything. What do y'all think about it? Especially compared to what it was. What do y'all think? Like right now, like every person is under this microscope on every little movement. Do you feel that's a good thing? You feel it's, you know, it's a hindrance? What do y'all think about that?
I think that because of that, it's both good and bad. It's good because if you get picked up on the right, like in the right wave, on the right thing or whatever, like the way that people go viral and stuff like that or whatever, it could be great. But in some instances, if you keep missing the wave, then you don't get looked at all. So it's both sides to that. So it's like understanding the algorithm and understanding how is it that, you know, you could have somebody who sings, you know, what was it, bitch I'm a cow, and like she goes viral like on some dumb shit, but then like people like, you know, I can't even come up with people or whatever, but like, cause like you can also look at people like Todrick Hall has been doing what he does for like the last 10, 11 years. And people forget that he started his career by like singing the McDonald's menu or singing the Subway menu. And then that built up to him having like world tours and having his own like channel and like being an influencer of such. And then he ends up in Taylor Swift's music video. So it's like, whether you like her or not, I mean, she is a celebrity that people know and he's in her videos. So that's a thing. But it's like, I feel like it comes in waves, like either you're on the wave or you're not. So.
Okay. What do the rest of y'all think about the microscope on influencers now?
I think that a lot of things aren't fair to a lot of influencers now because of social media. And it's like you can't have an opinion without offending somebody else. And then that offense goes to being blown up and it being it's not proportionate, right? And I don't think that's fair. So for instance, like I was talking with one of my managers at one time and we were talking about like her favorite person is Sidney Crosby. And this was back when the whole Black Lives Matter movement had first like became a big thing. And
You're breaking up, Alicia.
And
I don't know if she can
He
hear
was conference. What he thought. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Am I breaking up?
Yeah.
Am I good?
Yeah, like
Am I
it's
good?
kind of no. Okay,
Am
sort
I
of.
good? Am I
Sort of.
Kind
good
of okay now.
now?
It's like an old kung fu
Am I
movie,
good?
but okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Am I still breaking? It's because I'm doing that. That
Like
was
the
me
sound
doing
is
it.
so off.
It's still off?
Yes,
Like super off?
Okay, so
like
right now, for me,
now.
at least you're good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
good now? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. There
I
you
hate
go.
to do this to you, but you might want to start your answer from the beginning.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. So they were just talking about like how Sidney Crosby was her favorite celebrity, and
Yeah.
how like, he was asked in a press conference about Black Lives Matter, and he kind of like didn't say anything to. He kind of just ignored it. He didn't say that he agreed, and he didn't say that he didn't agree. He just didn't say anything, and they kind of like came at him crazy. They were like, oh, how are you not going to speak out as a celebrity about such and such issue? And I agree with him, because it's like if he would have said anything negative, all the Black folks would have tore him up. But if he would have said anything like positive,
Right.
then his, people that he has, a lot of people don't believe in that whole Black Lives Matter thing. So a lot of people that, like him and are for him, he would have been torn apart. So he just kind of just left it alone. He
But
didn't.
black pucks matter. That's all I worry about is the black puck.
But you understand what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
one of those things where I feel like celebrities are damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. So
See,
I
I
kind
think
of
that
feel
there's
like,
a big difference between celebrity and influencer. Like, can celebrities be influencers? Yes.
right.
But I feel like the internet influencer is what's now becoming the new celebrity.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that.
if an influencer messes up, then they just lose their followers and nobody hears from them again, versus a celebrity who like Colin Kaepernick and who like Sidney Crosby, where it's like, where all of these sports are led by mostly white people,
Mm-hmm.
and for hockey being like dominated, patrons being mostly white. Not to say that Black people don't like hockey or anybody else doesn't like hockey, but most people who go, I know you do, but most people who go to see hockey games are particularly white. He was making sure, like you said, that he didn't fall under any side of it, to just protect his investment, like
Amen.
to protect his wallet. And that, you can't be mad at somebody for making sure that they keep getting it.
Right.
Be like, I just want to be out of the discussion. Like, can I just not be in the
Right.
discussion?
Because for all we know, he is for Black Lives Matter, and he takes care of that in a way that's not public, which is not wrong to do. Because I mean, like, especially like in regards to the conversation before of religion, there are plenty of religions who don't believe who believe that in times of charity or times of giving or whatever, those are things that shouldn't be put on a pedestal. So
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sherelle, what you think? Microscopes on celebrities, influencers. Got anything?
Well, I just feel like on one hand it opens the door for well, I hate that like you have to be like so perfect in every way, like when with the microscope thing, like you don't have room for error, you don't have grace to make a mistake, or to learn anything. Like it's almost like it's phony, because you're not getting the real. People are afraid to be themselves anymore for fear of being like canceled or whatever. I don't think that it's good to be so involved in like a celebrity's life, like to that point. Like I don't think it's good for the viewer or for the celebrity. Like I think there's levels to it, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And I think you're right about that one, because this is switching over to the 20th century. There are so many artists of our generation and prior that did and do a lot of things that if they did them now, they would be canceled immediately.
Yeah.
And
And then part of
Can I mention somebody who has done some things that are kind of sketchy that like everybody loves, but if it was anybody else, he would have been ridiculed?
Elvis
Who
Presley.
am I talking about?
I'm talking
Who
about
am I
Elvis
talking about?
Presley.
it could be
No, I'm
anybody,
talking
really.
I'm talking about Michael Jackson. He has done some sketchy things in his past, and
And
everybody
he was
wants
ridiculed and canceled for a little bit.
not really though. Like
Yeah, not really.
He
not
went to
really
court,
though.
dealt
Right.
with all that mess. Like, to be perfectly honest with you, like, there's this, he towed a really, 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 really fine line.
Did he not?
Like, he towed a really fine line
He did.
because I don't think, I personally don't believe that he sexually abused or hurt any child, but I do believe that he got way too close for comfort with a lot
Right.
of them.
Exactly.
Jesus
But I don't-
juice. Yeah, Jesus juice.
But I don't believe that he because
Right.
like I don't believe that he would be somebody who could hurt someone like that. So it's like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't
But
know.
I
wasn't there.
personally think that he I don't think he would hurt someone with the intent of hurting someone. So I do think he actually was doing
So you think if you think his action, he thought they were normal, and they weren't.
Here's my thing.
or maybe not normal, but he's just like I love you, you know. So let's
But
show
here's
each
my
other
thing,
love
right? Here's my thing.
in the most creepiest, nastiest way.
But here's my thing. If we take all of these sketchy things that he's done and we put that on somebody else, would we still have that same view?
No, and
So
he
maybe.
but he
I don't
wouldn't
know.
even be
It
as
depends.
big as he is if he didn't have the like, for instance, because we didn't know, we knew certain things about his life, but he was able to keep private as well. And because he was able to keep private, I think that played a role in how big he is, as well as just being an awesome performer.
If Michael Jackson was a new artist, I don't think he would have a Twitter page. Honestly,
No.
he would not be. He wouldn't be on nothing.
Same with Prince. Like, I think part of that mystery, you know, that mystique is what brought them and what made them as big as they are, you know.
But they also grew up in a different era.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So,
if we look at things within the era which they grew up in versus the era in which we grew up now.
That's something that people, especially the Zoomers and stuff like that, they don't look at people within the context of the time period or the environment that they were in. So when like they'll go back to either old music or old jokes, that's a big one. Old jokes from comedians from the 70s and 80s. And they're like, oh, you're like, wait a second, that was that period. I have changed and grown since then. They don't consider that. They talk about it now in today's context.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you can really do that. That's not, you know, but I don't know.
I think that the way that we look at things, especially us millennials, the way that we look at things is way different because we're kind of right in the middle. Like,
we're on East Bank, we're on the West Bank.
Right. So we have more of a different outlook and perspective than like these new age kids. I'm like, I don't even know what's wrong with them. Like, I don't know what's wrong with these.
We do.
Trying to figure out who are the parents of the kids now who are neglecting to share with them the stuff they grew up with.
Us millennials.
So
because part of them is our people, and then the other part of them are the small group of people right before millennials. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Gen Xer, the late Gen Xers.
And it's like, why have you neglected your children from like these experiences? Like, I don't understand. Like,
but see, here's the weird part: is also the baby boomers who had children late.
yeah.
So the difference is Generation X was more rebellious type of group in general. Those are the people that like they were teenagers in the 80s. They were, where there was a lot the different situation with that one. The baby boomers that had children late.
Hi.
Yeah, technically I am too.
Yep.
They didn't cross over so well in teaching some of the later stuff.
Right.
And that's a little bit different.
My husband is that, well, yeah, I don't know if, yeah, maybe they are considered baby boomers. What's the range for baby boomers?
Things like 45 to
58, or I'll look it up.
Oh shit! Yeah, look it up real quick. Yeah, 1945 I think is the beginning of that, because they were the ones right after the war.
He's right in that.
Yeah.
He was born. His dad is 70.
So that can be an influence, especially if that child either didn't take an interest in or they were restricted from exploring some of the things of their time.
Oh no.
So that can make it.
46 to 64.
There we go. 46 to 64. The people that went to Vietnam, those people.
That's a really huge gap, but I guess it makes sense considering everything that happened around that time, because it's like the people who just got off of World War II.
Oh, they went straight to boning.
Yeah, and then the people who then are getting ready to go into like Vietnam,
so that's
civil rights is happening. There's a lot so that makes sense.
They are that group,
right?
And then Gen X came out. And they were the latchkey kids.
Yeah.
All right, so there's that, and the microscope thing, and like the people of the 20th century, your Jerry Lee Lewis's and Elvis's, and they're marrying their 13-year-old cousins, and Elvis had a song about sexual relations with his cousin, and there was a whole lot of shit happening that was swept under the rug. Or didn't catch much dragon. It's called Kissing Cousins. It's actually a part of a movie. I'll send it to you. Mm-hmm. And if you want to talk about some shit, the song Jailhouse Rock, either the second or third verse, is all about cellmates getting it on in the prison. It's in there. No one's really paying attention to Jailhouse Rock that way, but hey, that's just me. I'm like, hey. What did you just say? Okay, that's what it is. But then you got Jerry Lee Lewis. He married his 13-year-old cousin. You got Chuck Berry, as much as I love the dude, messing around with teenage girls, taking across state lines. Shit like that now would not fly. James Brown whooping his wives, 1, 2, 3, 4 wives, and, the massive drug abuses and ODs, and it wouldn't fly as much now. It wouldn't. I mean, what was it? Was it John Lennon? Yeah, John Lennon was a domestic abuser. He was a woman beater. And this is the man that said, "All you need is love."
I'm glad that it is the season where those things are being exposed.
Yeah, but I don't know. A part of me is like, okay, yep, I get it. They did it. Whatever. I'm still listening to their music. I'm just going to acknowledge the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, John Lennon used to, beat his wife, and I'm gonna finish singing, whatever.
Yep. I got you. And I guess I feel the same way about Bill Cosby's comedy and R. Kelly's music. I'm still gonna, enjoy those things that were their works of art separate from their private lives. It's just that honestly, now,
if we got rid of every media by people who did some messed up shit in their past, there'd be nothing left to listen to or watch.
Nope.
Yeah, that's valid, and I think there should be a little bit of separation between like who the person is, what they're into, what their craft is. But I do think there's levels to it. Like I'm gonna listen to. I've already established that I like a lot of R. Kelly's music. I've danced to it. I performed it. We had family reunions. We've already said we liked it. We've already paid for it. So all right, we got that. However, I don't need to hear no new song. I'm not paying for no new song or anything like that. And then like some of the ones that some of them I'm getting rid of because I don't like the sexual ones for me. Like,
R. Kelly, that's like 98%.
I know. So like, but personally, I can deal with this "Step in the Name of Love." I can deal with "Remix to Ignition." I believe I can fly. You know
I can fly. I'm the world's greatest. And the song about Mama.
Greatest, Aaliyah, all the Aaliyah stuff.
I miss Mama. That's
but when we get into, seems like you ready, that hits
12 play. Give them a little 12 play. Come on.
It hits different. It hits different.
Right. It do hit different. It hits different.
Yeah, well, right now it might be the opposite where. Oh, okay, that's a little bit too spot on the nose there. But it seems like now it's like the complete opposite where there is zero separation between an artist's personal life and their work and their art. Like it's zero.
Like that comes down to the individual person.
Yeah.
Like because I can separate Kevin Spacey from the bullshit that he did.
Yeah.
Because like I love A Midnight Summer Night. I love Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I love A Usual Suspects because like you could also watch it and then be like, well, I'm not watching it for Kevin Spacey. I'm watching it for everybody else who's in this movie who's doing a job. So it's like I
love House of Cards. Frank Underwood is a great character.
Right. So it's like it comes down to the individual person for me. Like there are going to be people who are just going to have nothing to listen to, and then there are going to be people who are going to enjoy themselves. So
yeah. All right. So there's that, and that's where we're on the fence about stuff. Kind of depends on kind of a case by case basis. Now, what do y'all think about this? Because this kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that there's no separation, and it's about the frequency of information.
Mm-hmm.
When now, I mean, how it is at your fingertips, and the news cycle is so much faster and quicker than it used to be. Just even entertainment news or news in general, just media, like the news cycle, and in case for those who don't know what that is about how
what it is.
Is what? What did she say?
I said TMZ. Ever since
TMZ, yeah. But like, TMZ is definitely the news cycle. And what even suckier, like now they're not even caring about accuracy. It's mostly about who breaks the story first.
Right.
But
it's mostly about what?
It's less about the accuracy of information and more about who breaks the story first.
Yeah.
And that's what the race is. But the news cycle about how quickly they switch the focus of the information has increased tremendously.
Yep.
What do y'all think about that? Is this good? Is this bad? I mean, at the same time, what has widened up is the amount of information. There is more exposure to smaller news stories that have the potential of blossoming up to something major now as well. So where do y'all fit? Where do y'all sit on that one?
I don't like it. Like there is no break from it, like at all. You don't get no break from anything. Your phone, like because we have our phones where things will, like anything that's breaking, like it comes up on my phone and it ding ding.
Yeah, but I feel like you
Right, I have control, but even if I don't turn off my, like, there is no time to unwind whatsoever from anything around you, whether it's on your phone, then it comes across your TV. It doesn't matter what you're watching, it comes across your TV, it's the news, it's on every platform anymore. Like, you can't just enjoy anything anymore without having to know what's going on with so-and-so's life, or so-and-so did this, or so-and-so's doing this, because there's just so much. I think it's just too much.
I hate that it's hard to know what's truth and what's not. I mean, it was hard before, but it's really hard now. Like, you got to check a bunch of different sources to figure out whether this is real news or whether it's clickbait, or, you know.
But isn't that a good practice, though, to, you know, check different sources to see accuracy?
That's a great practice to have. However, most people don't utilize it.
Right. Well, see, I mean, I
learned to research things, you know, mostly in college. Like, that's where I got most comfortable with researching things on my own. And so not everybody has that same experience or is going to look any further. So then you got people like, oh, well, I saw that this person did this, and they only saw it through one source. They didn't do any research. And then they're bringing you this information, spreading it everywhere, and it's all, like, false.
Yeah.
I know we're still focused, like, on the 21st century and stuff like that, but
well, you know, we can go back and forth.
Okay, but I think with what the news was beforehand, even though there were definitely, like, conspiracies like Watergate and different things like that or whatever, I feel like because we only received the news via television or radio, a reporter's whole reputation and livelihood depended on the news being accurate. So, and then because of what was going on in the world, and, like, because our population obviously has increased, everything that was going on television, everyone was experiencing. So, and they would gear everything for the most part on kind of like a non-biased platform where things weren't altogether left and things weren't altogether right. This was just what was happening in the world right now. Whereas now you can find a whole platform dedicated to only your biased views and only pay attention to that. If you
echo chambers,
you're gonna have to explain that to me. But but it's like but today, with as many platforms as there are for you to get your news, the many people who you can listen to, the many ways that you can listen to it, because you could get accurate news from satire. And some people prefer to listen to it in that form because it's easier to digest. It's not as gut-wrenching. It's not something that's like in your face and, oh my God, the world is horrible. You get to laugh a little bit to kind of ease the fact that this really is what's going on. But, like, at the same time,
and it's a little bit more balanced, though, because they make fun of both sides normally.
Right. So it's like, because, like, at one point I decided, like, let me see what the right is thinking, because it's like these are people who have the ability to vote, and these are people who believe in what they believe in, and whether I believe it's right or not, I walk down the street and these people are sitting next to me on the bus. Like, these people are taking my groceries. These people might even be my doctor. I don't know. I need to know what it is the other side is thinking, so I know how to better, like, navigate through this stuff. And it's very scary to, like, go onto the other side and find things you agree with, and then find things you don't agree with, and then you find, like, the dark side of all of it, where it's like, yeah, these people are basically living in a cesspool and don't know what they're doing. So it's like, I think we as individuals have the ability, and I do apologize, I disagree, we have the ability to change the channel. We have the ability to set our settings on our phone to say when we want to receive what information we want to receive it. We have the ability to turn off the phone. Now, if somebody comes over and goes, did you hear about X, Y, and Z? I don't need to hear it right now. Like, you know, like you're in charge of your own peace. But at the same time, it's like, you know, the more people continue to utilize what platforms that they have, and because everyone now has, you know, they have their phone and they have their and they have their laptop and everything else or whatever, like the information is going to be quicker and it's going to get quicker. Like I mean, that's just what it is. Like, we're not going to wait a week, 2 weeks before not knowing that this even went down. Like there isn't going to be anybody who's not going to know at this point.
All right. So I wanted to, could you kind of to explain a couple things? I want to tell you what an echo chamber is. And actually what you're talking about is, it's like, when it comes to the metrics, what you're talking about is interest-driven communities. Mm-hmm. Where you have smaller communities and they have this one particular matching interest, and brands will focus and concentrate and oversaturate that one community with that thing. And there are like millions of them, you know, we're all part of some sort of, you know, people that are fans of this one particular thing, and that's what it is. But the echo chamber thing is when people surround themselves with information and sources of information that agree with their opinions that they hold already.
Okay.
So if they're not getting anything new, they just want to be like, yep, I'm thinking right, and this is my opinion, and obviously I'm right because the sources I've surrounded myself with are telling me the same thing that I'm already thinking.
Right.
And occasionally I like to get outside of my echo chamber, and you're right, it's some of that stuff is way out there. You're like, whoa!
Yeah.
Man, I turned on Fox News just to see what's happening on the other side one day. I was like, is this what's happening over there?
But what's crazy is they look at like the Democratic side and the left side and think we're terrifying.
Right. So like when I went over there, I was like, you know what? As much as I disagree with what's happening on this one, I was able to see why, if someone were to watch this news constantly, how they would get sucked into this. I was like, man, they are like really like pushing these agendas in a way that someone who doesn't have any other influences could really like get sucked into this.
Right.
And so I see what they're doing with that. And something I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there. If y'all have never watched it, you probably haven't, but I encourage you to watch a docu-series called Hate Thy Neighbor. And it's at least I think I told you about this.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Yeah, man, it's something definitely watch. Alicia, Sherelle, both of y'all. It's about this guy who tours the world and he interviews extremist groups of all origins.
My favorite is still the woman who believes that.
I've seen a bit of it.
My favorite is still the one of the woman who believes that only men should be like determining what happens and women need to stop voting.
See, right. She was dead ass serious.
Yo.
And like, yeah, I mean, and of course there is some satire in it because the guy who's the interviewer is a comedian. So when he's not with these groups and he is doing his stand-up bit in between, you know, little segments, like he talks about how extreme and goofy some of this stuff is. And it gives you a perspective as to there are people in the world, some small groups, some large groups, that really do believe in the extremist ideologies. And yeah, there's just things to be aware of in the world. Get outside your echo chamber. All right. So, Sherelle, Alicia, y'all got any things on what we just talked about?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, compared to what the world used to be like versus now, there is no turning off anything. I'm just there with it. You can't turn off anything. Like, no matter how many sets or whatever you want to put on, for you cannot change.
Everywhere you go,
it's the same thing over and over.
There's the oversaturation.
Yes.
Right.
And it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. You go to the grocery store, you can it doesn't matter. It does not matter. There is.
I don't know, man. Because we were kids, we had those fucking coupon machines and every other product that was spitting coupons out.
But that's when we were young. I'm talking about these kids.
Yeah, now. Yeah.
Now.
Well,
like
that kind of links.
Over. It's just too much. And you don't get to turn it off. Or set parameters for yourself, because then there's always somebody that's talking about it. Somebody always got an opinion on it. Somebody always got something on it. So that's my opinion on it. I just see it too much with these kids. Like, how do you know about that? Like, that's adult shit. Like, how do you know about that? Oh, it's because you were watching something on your tablet and a commercial came up with this new thing or whatever. And it's like, damn, like, you're a kid.
Yeah, that was a big thing on YouTube where adults and parents were upset because the child programming on YouTube, there would be regular adult advertisements, whoever paid for it. And it'd be like, okay, you're watching Paw Patrol, and now you got advertisements for a little blue pill.
Right. Or there's too much that goes on now with kids and just in general with people. Like whenever something is, it's like they want to just wham it in your face every turn, everything. They just they want to shove it down your throat. So it doesn't matter
you got
what
something?
it is anymore.
No, we can move on.
All right. So that kind of links into the whole thing with the way advertisements roll, man, in terms of in your face. I mean, the way they do now with the metrics is they customize and target. And I know all of us have experienced this. They customize and target your advertisements directly. Based off your search. They're beyond that now. It's based on you, because our phones are recording everything constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Just you said something to a friend and it heard you, and then all of a sudden your next 20 ads are about some random ass thing that you don't even like because you were talking about it.
Yeah.
And they heard you.
Like I had mentioned to you guys before, you don't even have to say anything. You could have just been in an area near something, and then now, like for instance, I went to Arby's for lunch.
Got the meats.
Went back to work, and now my coworker has an Arby's ad on her phone, and she's never had one on her phone before.
Yup.
Because my phone was in the area.
And they want to think she smelled your Arby's, and she must want some.
I don't like that at all. Like, I don't like it. I wish there was a way to shut that off. I think there might be.
Yeah, don't buy a phone. It's about the only way that's gonna work.
I loved it when people do the then and now challenges, like 10 years ago and blah blah blah, or this is what I'll look like when I'm old with this app or whatever, and people are like, this is how people are gonna do face recognition and this blah 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 blah. And I was like, your phone knows that you want pizza before you do. If you honestly think
already done
that your face and you've been posting pictures of yourself since 2003, I'm pretty sure if somebody wants to get your information, they've got it already.
And when people get mad about that, and they're like, "Oh man, Facebook is selling our information, and MySpace, and Instagrams, and the TikToks." If you read their user agreement, it's their website. They can do whatever the fuck they want with their website. You put your stuff on their website. They can do whatever they want with it after that.
We live in a world of consumerism. Of
course, we're Americans.
When you do that, you have the ability to do what you want with your business. That's the whole reason why people want to be entrepreneurs in America.
And that kind of started. It started in the 50s and it blew up in the 80s, and consumerism was a thing, and then of course going into debt was another thing.
Right, but living in corporate America gives you that freedom.
Of course.
So.
Yep. And people not paying for information.
But it's also the same as cigarettes. They tell you on the package, it will cause you cancer. So either you could choose not to be on social media, or you can choose to smoke up.
Yeah. Yeah. Alicia, you got something to say? You kind of raise your hand but your arm got tired.
I was just putting my hand on my bun.
Okay. All right. Anyone else got something? Because, like, I kind of want to talk about, I don't want to say I feel bad, but there's a difference here. So, as we all know as millennials, there are certain things that we are all pretty much going to be aware of and know about and can connect on. Because we technically, compared to now, we didn't have a lot in comparison. So we talk about Animaniacs, or we talk about Sesame Street, or Mr. Rogers, or, any of those shows, or even certain commercials and certain theme songs. Like, all of us here know the words to Family Matters and shit like that. We know that because we didn't really have a lot of other options of watching. We only had 2 or 3 kids channels and a couple local ones and, whatever. But now with the Zoomers and Gen A's, there are so many different things. I don't know if in 10, 15, 20 years they're going to have that, hey, y'all, remember that way back when we had this? There's not as many of that because they're going to be like, well, I didn't watch that. I'll watch these 20 other shows.
Right. I think it'll come down to, remember this platform, like the way that Vine died and people still talk about their favorite Vine video. Like, so I think we're already seeing glimpses of it now. Because it'll be remember TikTok, or remember this one dance craze. Remember when, we were doing the Savage challenge. Remember when we were doing this whatever challenge. Those will be the things that they'll have more than they'll have like a favorite TV show or commercial jingle.
Yeah, which is definitely changing. Because us and every generation before us had shows to connect on, TV commercials to connect on, even songs to connect on. We don't even have the song thing as much as it used to be, because with access to so many platforms for music, you can listen to 1,000 songs and the person next to you didn't hear out one of them before.
Yeah. And we got headphones and stuff.
Right.
So
yep.
We won't know what you're listening to over there.
Remember when we had laptops?
Yep.
Like, y'all remember when we had laptops? Like, oh, now we got some like funky thing that comes out of our arm and like expands the screen and shit. Like,
they're working on that now. The hologram Tony Stark type of shit. They're working on that.
Some crazy shit. Like, remember when we had TVs? They'd be like, now we ain't got TVs. Now we can just picture it in our mind and we're watching it. Like,
imagine being the grandma that your grandkids are like, yo, I don't even want to go over there because they only got 4K.
Gonna be that. Eventually gonna happen.
Right, or something.
So wait. Ooh, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, our parents and older are still saying, oh, you got the flat screen. Versus just saying it's a TV. You got a TV. Oh, you got the flat screen. Now, all of them are flat. All of them are flat panel TVs. It's just TV now. There's no, oh, you got the flat screen. That's not a thing anymore.
You know what I don't like, though? I don't like that they're just coming out with anything and you just got to deal with them coming out with it. Like,
that's always been the case.
Even if you don't, even if like a mass amount of people don't want this thing, they're still building it and they're still making it. You just got to deal with it. And I don't like the
like
idea.
What? What do you think they came out with that people don't want?
I feel like eventually like you're taking away jobs. It's certain technology that's taking away jobs and whatever, and you can't do anything about it. Like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of it.
Piggybacking off of that, I feel like what's happening is they're doing it too quickly to then allow for the education to learn how to fix and repair those things. Like,
Okay, I can agree with that one.
Like new electric cars versus your regular automatics or whatever. Like being able, like taking an electric car into a garage to get it fixed.
They won't touch them.
If people don't know how to fix them yet, they can't be fixed yet. So
they won't touch them.
Like, and because of the way things are going, as far as just like oh my god, vocational like colleges and stuff, like trade schools and stuff, trade schools are still teaching how to fix a regular engine. They haven't even transferred everything over to learning how to fix an electric. Right. So it's like the technology is moving faster than we have time to then learn and teach next generations on how to fix and update their cars.
So if I'll say about that, and like, I guess to react to what Sherelle's saying, it's not necessarily that they're getting rid of jobs. The jobs are shifting. So that kind of connects with what Elise is saying, that the jobs are shifting, but the education isn't keeping up with what's happening. Because even with the technologies that we were used to having eliminated jobs before us, like there's no longer, a big need for people that shoe horses and cobblers to repair shoes.
Right.
That wasn't a thing. My parents, they went to the shoe repairman, the cobbler, to get the stuff, like,
But that also
we don't do that.
But it also comes with the way things are coming out as quickly as they are. Products are also like less quality, like they're cheaper quality.
They don't want you to repair them. They want you to buy a new one.
Right. That's the whole point. So it does, but in turn, it does then take people out of a job. Like, I mean, there could be a lot of people out there who could be really great cobblers, but they'll never know that potential because the option to cobbler is no longer there.
It's not unless you're making pies. Not really.
I hate you.
Right. There's no option to be a cobbler. It's just not. Now, what ended up how it started, the electric car came out, but what they started doing, and I was in the mix of this back years ago when I was working in the car garage, is they started using screws and bolts where the head of that screw and bolt wasn't the regular socket wrench screwdriver. It was some weird, you have to buy a special toolkit to work on this one particular car, or else you couldn't get the parts. They didn't want you working on your own shit. That's basically came down to. They don't want people to work on their own and repair their own. They want you to go to a specialist. Then they want you to go to their specialist. They want you to go to the dealership or the Apple store so you can, they have to take care of it. So now you're spending money for that. Then they figure, hey, we make sure that they break or slow down within a year or two. They'll get frustrated and buy a new one and keep our business going.
Right.
Yes, Lord.
That's where we're at. So there's a big difference between millennials and Zoomers. Is that, there was a point in time where we knew how to fix some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing about us is that we adapt more to our surroundings.
We had to
adapt because we've been through so many generations. Like we've been through decades. How many decades have we been through? So it's like for us, we adapt to things more where like the older generation, they were used to one way. And even now, like I watch them, like for instance, I watch my professor, like he hates this whole virtual learning stuff, like 70.
Is he a boomer or is he a Gen Z or Gen X?
I think he might be a boomer.
Oh, yeah, they hate it.
No. Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to, but he hates it. But then there's like me, and I'm like the age of like some of my professors. So like me and some of my professors now, like, because my one professor is like 3 years old. We hate it. We don't like it. Like, you know what I mean? But we have adapted to it.
Yeah, well, we grew up where change became rapid.
Right.
So
because there was like when we were young, there was no computer, then like if computers started coming out, and then
Computers
like
were coming out.
Right.
We went from, in our lifetime, vinyls of 45 to cassettes to mini discs to CDs to MP3s to streaming, all within 30 years.
Exactly.
We did all of that. Then we went from, we did Betamax, VHS, DVDs, up to Blu-ray, and then now we're streaming that. Like, we went through all of that for our media very quickly.
We went from brick phones to flip phones to razor phones.
Yo, technically, we went from the phones that had a satchel that you wore across, and then we had the car phones. And
if you were lucky, if you were lucky, there were a tiny, brief, just tiny little group.
Really?
Because had beepers.
I remember beepers.
Beepers and pagers. See, that was something else. You had to go find the phone. Right. I got a page. Can I use your phone? We're still in a generation that I bet you right now, if you used a pay phone, if you found one and used it, you're going to check for loose change in the little change dropping thingy.
Yeah. Now you a crack.
Yep. So you're gonna put your finger in it like this is a loose thing. Right. So we're used to rapid change. We're used to things not being around so long. We're used to video games changing as rapidly as they have.
Right.
Oh, that's something else that pisses off the Zoomers. Anybody else here play video games?
No.
Anybody else? A gamer?
I've played them, but I'm not faithful to it.
All right, so something else, if you're ever interested, that pisses off the Zoomers and the Generation A's is that the basic concepts of video games is the same. So there's like, I got to find an article, but basically breaks it down. There's like 7 different types of video games, and that's it. And that includes, first-person shooter and RPG. Like, they haven't changed. And our generation was a big test group for that. So was Generation X. The two of us, so a lot of the very basic video game skill sets on how to navigate games and all that stuff, we already learned them. And what pisses them off is when Zoomers and Generation A's, Generation Alphas, they'll come and they're like, hey, I got this game I learned. I bet you're going to suck at it. The same way we did. We played our parents. We would have whooped their ass because they didn't grow up with that shit. But then we sit down and you give us, enough time, we're going to dominate it. Because this ain't nothing new. This is the same as Mortal Kombat 2. It's like, it ain't nothing. It's the same thing I played before. Just let me know what the buttons do. All right, I'm done. I did it. Like, it ain't nothing new.
Right.
And we're used to that change. You are correct. Alicia, you're correct. We are used to that change, and people before us are not. That's why a lot of boomers have issues with digital currency situations. They want hard copy paper checks. And they don't like not being able to write it down.
As soon as we came adults, who balances their checkbook?
No, wait, hold on, wait. Elise, do you have a physical, written paper and ink hard copy checkbook?
A hard copy, no. Digital, yes.
Oh, see, okay then.
Digital. I'm talking about this.
I'm sorry, my bad. Hold on. Yeah.
I'm talking about balancing your checkbook.
Yeah.
Like how my grandma used to sit there with hers, and every time she bought something, my grandma would be in her checkbook.
I don't write checks as much as I haven't been writing checks as much now because I've been on forbearance for my student loans and stuff. But I write checks out for all of my student loans.
Everything now, like there was a point in time where like even the water company never accepted credit cards or anything. They only accepted checks.
Yep.
Like,
now the fee. The fee for using a check.
No, it's not.
Where it's not?
Sally Mae and Nevia did not charge me.
Okay, the college. I'm talking about utilities.
It never happened for me either.
Man, the college debt. You can use gold doubloons and they'll take whatever.
No, when I was living in Philly and had to pay utilities, I guess I didn't really pay attention to see if whether or not me paying via check charged me, but I did it anyway. Like so.
Yeah, I know how to do it.
Now, like it was when I started paying, when I moved into my my house, when I moved, not my apartment, but I moved into a house, and I was setting up all my utilities and everything. And I was like, okay, this can be set up on my credit card. This can be set up on my credit card. This can be set up on my credit card.
Yep.
I got down to the water bill and they're like, we only accept check or cash. And I'm like, what? Like,
paper?
I mean, I gotta come in, like I gotta physically show up to pay my bill.
Yup.
Oh, hell no.
One of my favorite quotes is in the movie Hackers, man. The plague, he was like, ew, hard copy. He was so...
Oh, it's so hard.
Like, ew.
I was like...
Listen, I like my paper trail. I do.
I do
Eugene
too,
the Plague Belford.
Digitally. I like my hard copies digitally. Everything, send it to my email. So I have all my folders with all my receipts in my email, where anybody who has ever sent me any type of digital receipt that I got, it all goes into my folder. Yep. So if I ever need anything that's a receipt wise, it's all there for me. But that's digitally. I don't have, if I had to do like our parents did and our grandparents did, putting it on this paper and setting it aside.
File cabinets. File cabinets. Drawers. Drawers.
I have whole folders. I have hard copy of all of my taxes since 2009.
That's different.
Gotcha.
Taxes are
That's
different.
smart. That's smart.
Taxes are different. I'm talking about like when we moved my grandma out of her house, like when my grandma had them boxes full of like receipts and her checkbooks that she balanced out, like how much money she started with in a month on down, like groceries, utilities, and I'm like, yo, like.
So check this out.
These days, typically.
That's nothing. I was working for the housing authority. Everything was done by paper. Every single action took about 11 pieces of paper. Some of these people's files were fucking bulletproof, I swear. And I mean, they're like 7 inches thick of just solid paper.
That's crazy.
And some of them had 2 of them. Some people had 2 of them. Like where it wouldn't hold no more in this like phone book size file that's this thick. So we had to start another one for the same person, a part 2. Nope. No, and then if someone lost the file, oh no, we can't even work on it. I don't know where it's at. No one knows where it is. It's just gone.
I'm just saying, we come from a very unique generation.
We do. It's awesome. I love it.
Generation, and I feel we have like this younger generation. I'm very shocked and surprised at them, and I am proud of them just because they are on a different level than we are when it comes to acceptance. Like
they are. There's that for sure.
They accept anything and everything. And they don't have
it doesn't sound pretty good.
They don't have a boundary. Like,
but like I don't see why that's such a bad thing. Like anything different if they're like, I love serial killers, but they're like
a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I think it can be a bad thing. Like it goes a little too far. Like that, you can't just be cool with everything. Like you just have no boundaries at all.
What I mean,
boundaries is worse than having too many.
I don't know if I believe that there are no boundaries at all, because I mean they still reject things like people who just want to hate for the sake of wanting to hate another group, but they're the first ones to jump in and be like, you can't do that. So I don't think that they're not accepting of racism and sexism and stuff like that. So there are things that they are rejecting. But if we're looking at things that are just like positive or whatever, just like accepting a person for being who they are, as long as they're not hurting them or somebody else, why do I have to have an opinion about it? Like,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when it comes to accepting everything, they like we look at our generation and how we draw the line on certain things. Like there are just certain things that we draw a line on. And for instance, this whole Rihanna thing, people are not accepted of using the Bible or other people's, religion as something that it to be played with. That's that right there where I feel that this younger generation will kind of just be like, it's just words. It's like, nigga, what? Like, it's just words. I feel that when it comes to things like that,
You know
there
what?
is no boundary.
Yeah, things definitely change as generations progress.
It's like a anything goes society now.
Right.
But at the same time, nothing goes. Everything's canceled.
I mean, you have, I mean, like, we have
Everything goes until it doesn't.
like, like for instance, like all this in society right now that we're talking. I mean, like as far as what is it like? These kids, like these young girls that are having sex with these teachers, and like
going on forever.
That's not nothing new at all.
But listen, you're right. But even like pregnancy, look at pregnancy. Like before, when our parents' generation, like if you got pregnant, like they sent you to the school in the back. Like they sent you to the trailer in the back. And they thought like you were the worst.
You're going to the pregnancy trailer.
Here's what I will say. I graduated in high school. I graduated from high school in 2007. And my sister graduated from high school, I want to say in 2012 or 13. Regardless, when we talk about pregnancy, I remember every year, all 4 years, what did you guys do over the summer? Got pregnant, had a baby, got pregnant, had a baby, got pregnant, had a baby. To the point where by the time I was in the 11th grade, there were at least 9 girls in just my grade alone who were pregnant.
That's it?
Hold up. No, hold. I said just in my grade. I didn't even talk about the other 4. But here's my whole thing.
Just 9.
But here's my whole thing. When my sister graduated, she said that in all 4 years of her being in high school, there was maybe only 3 girls who were pregnant.
Now, because sexual education was different. I remember Planned Parenthood.
Just don't do it. That's not a thing.
There we go.
Now I want to.
But how about that? Like, I remember this too, because I had the same issue, man. Like pregnancy was like an airborne disease in my high school. I don't know what was going on, but it was just rampant. But I remember when Planned Parenthood was trying to send, I want to call them secret agents, because they would arm these teenagers with condoms and tell them to go in there and like give them out, like. But it was like this secret thing though. Like you had to know who had the secret stash of free condoms. Like it wasn't just as everybody here.
Here's the crazy thing. I don't think that my sister had a health class. That's the crazy part.
Wow.
Like I don't think that health class is a thing. I think they make it like a part of gym, which is not the same thing. But like also. It's not like one is physical where it's like you're supposed to be jumping and running and whatever.
Well, I say that because our gym teachers taught health, so I don't know.
Okay, but they're still not the same subject. Anyway, so it's like even if they were teaching it, they still don't fully teach all about health in general. Like when we get to the sex stuff, it's like this is a penis, this is vagina, here are STDs, the end. Like
like ew, don't do it.
Right. So it's like they don't get into women's health, and they don't get into infertility, they don't get into consent, they don't get into like they don't get into anything as far as what health is concerned. And if in some cases they might have gotten rid of it altogether. I remember when I was in grade school, we had to send home permission slips as to whether or not we were even allowed to have sex education. Like our parents had to
in elementary school.
Yep.
Yeah, because 6th grade is when we started ours.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, mine went to 5th grade. We didn't have none of that.
Yeah. Well, my elementary school went from kindergarten to 8th grade. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Middle school definitely had that. Okay.
Yeah.
I was
But
like,
we still had a permission
Ours
slip. Like our
started
parents had
in
to say
elementary school in 6th grade. In 6th grade we watched ejaculation and how they gave us this big video of how a baby is done, how it's made. You got
what was it, like a cartoon?
Yeah. How was this shown? This was people.
Was not a cartoon. It was a movie. So
it was
I
porn.
don't want to ask. Feeling like
this is porn. Y'all think you watch porn?
So it was porn with a narrator. Was a narrator English?
Listen. I'm gonna tell you what the movie was. So we had it was like a series. So we spent 3 days talking about in health class. It was like 3 days where
3-day ejaculations.
I'm sorry. I'm listening.
3-day ejaculation though, for real.
Cheers, 3 days. You said 3 days.
I'm trying to tell you how it went.
All right, I'm
listening.
All right.
It was 3 days. So they taught us about the woman's body first. Then they talked about the man's body. Then they talked about how a baby was
born,
yes.
Created.
So that created. There you go. So then they kind of talked us up for the first 2 days about man's body, woman's body, and then the 3rd day we talked about sex and how a baby was created. So then they would show how the man would ejaculate, and it would the visual was a it just looked like a camera in a woman's vagina.
Oh, that one. I've seen that one.
Yeah. And they just showed the ejaculation. I still don't
know what's going on.
Wait, but hold on. Wait, Sherelle, didn't you go to like a Christian school though?
No.
Oh, you didn't? No.
So they showed the ejaculation into the woman's vagina. It showed the sperm swimming, and then it came to it was kind of like a 3D of what the egg looked like and how the sperm would, and then they talked about how the baby would form over the 9 months.
Wow.
Then they showed the baby being born, and it ruined everybody's life. Yes.
Hey, that's for real. That'll keep you from having kids. I'm telling you.
I was in 6th grade. Okay. So they did it because that's the beginning of puberty. That's when most of us started our periods and all that good stuff. So we got all of that. And then when we went into middle school, because my middle school was 7th and 8th grade, when we went into middle school, then we got in a little bit deeper in health class about, if you have unprotected sex, and then they showed us all the freaking STDs. And
they showed you the most extreme cases of the most horrific.
Yes. They showed
photos.
That's why everybody was like,
this is how bad it gets.
It was like, if you got syphilis and you didn't treat it for 25 years, this is what's going to happen.
No, but they showed the one health teacher was talking about how they showed the extreme picture of herpes, and it was coming out of the top of it opened up the urethra.
Wait, was it that cauliflower picture?
Because
that's the blue waffle.
Yeah, the cauliflower joint.
Yeah,
that's foul.
All the dudes in my class.
But see, they only ever showed women. They never showed men with their shit falling off. And he used to.
They did at my school. Or maybe you got the abridged version. We got all the extended
but
episodes.
my whole thing is that they don't specify that men are the ones who give them that shit. Like, it just like she doesn't just produce STDs from her vagina. Like,
hey man, all I know it was definitely a horror show of stuff.
See, but this is what I find hilarious. Despite the fact that we all
it ain't stop
some
nobody
form of a health class, you still get people even at our age who are like, I don't get tested, or I don't need to go get tested, or I'm clean, or I'm this, or I'm not, and they'll give you every excuse in the book to not go get tested and everything else, whatever, or try to make you feel bad for asking if you do. And it's been this whole entire thing to the point where it's just like, but you went to school, you got this education, you understand this is a thing or whatever. Why are you so afraid? And it's like, okay, so you saw those pictures, and because your dick or your vagina don't look like those pictures, you think that you're okay? It's like,
No, I got you, but I think what's changing, which is a good thing in changing her, I think our generation still has a bit of shame and embarrassment and this anxiety with going and get tested. But I think the next generation is not quite the same way about it.
Well, STDs aren't a thing anymore. They're STIs
about it. They are very.
Well, you know what? One of my kids, instead of using protection, he uses tests in place of protection.
Oh yeah, no, that's a no for me.
Yeah, so like what he'll do is he's like, Miss, you're supposed to get tested every time you have sex, right?
No.
I was like,
no.
Every time you have sex with a new partner, like you're supposed to get tested, right? And I'm like, well,
I mean, that's a good practice, but we're talking about prevention as well. What the fuck?
Right.
He didn't like condoms, so what he would do is go get tested every single, or if he messed with somebody that he thought was a thought.
But my whole thing is,
and what he would do is just go and get a gonorrhea, chlamydia. Like he would go and get the medicine, get a gonorrhea shot and a chlamydia pills or whatever pill in place of using any kind of condom.
So what if you come in contact with herpes? There is nothing you can put on it to get rid of it at that point. Like gonorrhea, chlamydia, you're right.
We tried to tell him.
Don't go away.
We tried to tell him, and they even put him on Truvada. I think ain't that what it's called, Truvada, to prevent HIV and AIDS, just in case, because he refused to use any kind of protection.
Rule of thumb is supposed to be every year if you're with the same partner, and every 6 months if your partner has changed.
Well, his rule is every single time I have sex, I'm just gonna go do that.
That's the same as people wanting to take Plan B every single time they get have sex instead of just being on birth control.
That would be the most painful situation, wouldn't it? That'd be horrible.
No. Plan B is like
it's like birth control.
I got you, but like, isn't it a situation where like the uterus purges the next day?
No.
It will make you have your period.
Again, purges the next day.
Not every
time.
We're
used to having our period, so it's not like it's a big deal. I'd rather see my period.
You just end up having your period sooner. It's not like it turns into a mega period. So
no, I'm not saying it's gonna be worse, but I mean, from what I understand, y'all don't enjoy that much anyway. So
every period isn't painful though.
No, it's not.
That's good. Nope, still don't want to be a woman. Have no desire.
And you're also not doing oh my goodness, I can't even think of the word. You're not having an abortion because it's within 72 hours, so that's not happening either. Whenever you take Plan B. So
yeah, no.
Common misconception of Plan B.
But you know what, I think it's a little bit different. You mentioned it earlier about your younger sister not having as many pregnancies during her years in high school that were there. I think part of it is because some of the sexual myths have been debunked from our generation to the next.
Yeah.
Like some of the dumb stuff like, hey, if you have sex standing up, she can't get pregnant. I don't think that's still like something that people circulate. Like the dumb shit that people used to say.
Not that. I think what it was is that like we were curious.
Yeah, and because sex sells and sex is everywhere, everyone knows what sex is.
Everywhere.
Everyone
We
knows
were
what it is.
curious and we didn't have the same amount of knowledge
Right.
because
Right.
they're exposed to a lot of stuff way earlier.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and it must, and I think, I mean, even as much controversy there is over sexual education in schools now, I think there was way more when we were kids, anyways. Our baby boomer parents were not with it.
No.
I mean, my parents were cool with it, but a lot of my classmates, their parents were like, "Oh no, we don't want to talk about this."
Right. But you also have to remember it was within
It was Salt and Pepper that said, "Let's talk about sex." You're right.
when within our generation where they started that whole 16 and pregnant thing.
Yeah.
That big pregnancy thing that went about whenever it was right after high school for us.
It was
Right
the 16 and pregnant, or as Chris Rock said, it should have been a show that said 15 and fucking. But
you ain't wrong.
It's one of my favorite jokes ever. Like, yeah, it should have been a show 15 and fucking. Leaving on the 16 and pregnant.
For me, it was different. It was completely different in my household. Like, it was different. I didn't lose my virginity until I was in my 20s. So I was like,
I mean, it was different in my household too, but I was still a teenager when all that went down. But
yeah,
I was not about talking about any of that stuff or
right.
I felt when I was in high school, everybody knew your business. Like nobody kept their mouth shut, and men were the worst. So it's like I kept my business until I was ready, because I felt like even if people had an interest in somebody, everybody knew you liked them, and it was like I didn't need that kind of drama in my life. So.
I think that's high school for every generation. I mean,
yeah, I got you, but
I mean, Rizzo, they went to the damn drive-in, Kaneki, they got pregnant by the time it's always high school.
Yeah, I got you, but it's just, I don't know, like, because that was happening, I was like, I don't need everybody knowing what's going on with me, so.
Smart. You're the celebrity without a Twitter page, I got you.
Thanks.
And I didn't want to be a part of that, like, nonsense also, because it was like, the guys would talk about who they slept with, and, like, it was almost like the one thing where a lot of kids in my grade got in trouble is because they had a list of females that they wanted to sleep with.
Yep.
And
it was a game.
They would just be knocking them off their list.
But you know what? I knew girls that had the same list.
I didn't know any of them.
I knew girls that had the same list.
I don't know no girls that had no list like that.
I knew some girls that had a list.
Not in high school. Now, if you talk about adults, if we talk about now.
High school. I knew high school. I knew some high school women, girls that were, I'm not saying I wouldn't say the numbers are comparable, because the culture did not render that. But there were definitely some women that had their list, man. And they would, and I knew some women that would target and get their friends to help them accomplish that list. So, I don't know. But our generation started some of the, I wouldn't say started, but.
Females are too competitive for that. I don't know if that's true.
Our generation probably was a recharge for sexual liberation for a lot of women. I mean, think about even the song of Dina Howard, "Freak Like Me," was, a woman expressing, a sexual liberation, wanting to do this thing versus just having guys say it.
Yeah.
And there was some of that happened in the 80s, but it was more covert. But in the 90s with Salt and Pepper and Dina Howard and, a few other people, yeah, it was a different mentality, I guess. And then, of course, when the 2000s hit, oh shit,
Yeah.
that was, yeah.
When 2000s hit, it was like, you can be a whore and we are cool with it.
Yeah.
Oops, she did it again. Yeah, it was 2000s. It was I don't even know what to say, man. That was we're gonna look back in about 20 years and look back like, just like the same when we look at the 80s, like weird as fuck. We're gonna look back at 2000s, just fashion and mentality and this. I still want someone to do an in-depth financial research report of all the spike in debt that happened because of the bling bling era. There's got to be a correlation because they were financing the rims, and then when they didn't make their payments, their car was on blocks, and that was a thing. Y'all remember that? Nobody remember that?
No.
You go to Chrome Depot and get your rims.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you could rent your rims. You could do a monthly payment on your big ass shiny rims for your rusty Cutlass. I got you.
What do you mean?
But hey, in the hood, you could definitely
you can still do it.
Rent your rims.
You can still do it.
I'm probably sure. See, and as soon as you didn't make your payment, they come by and repo your rims.
R&R. Right in
There we go. There we go. She knows it's a thing. You can yes, rent your rims.
I do not believe you, Brendan. I believe you, okay? I just don't care.
You put your 30-inch rims on your rusty ass car. Then when you run out of money,
they
took your rims.
On cinder blocks, right? Okay, cool.
I want to know how much debt there was.
One thing that I've noticed with this whole generation thing where they failed us.
What's that?
Is this whole coming out when it came out with credit cards. When credit cards hit and credit hit, they failed us. They failed us miserably.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, in schools, in order for you to learn economics, you either had to be taking AP courses or you needed to be in college. So,
they don't teach money in school. Right. They just don't. I think it's a failure overall, but they don't want you to know how money works because then they wouldn't make money if they did.
Right.
Yeah, but that was back when that's back when I got a credit card at 18 years old and it was $150 or $1,500 limit. I'm 18. I'm going to college.
You probably had an 18% interest rate and a
nope. You know what I got done on my credit card? My tongue pierced. Got some other things pierced. My ears.
What a wonderful time for your sound to cut out.
Yeah, it did. You were like, I got some other things pierced. Pause.
Pause. What?
Pause. Wink, wink. Pause.
My ears.
I got my ears. The timing of that was perfect.
But no, it's not even that. It slowed down and stopped.
Got some other things pierced and it stopped. What happened?
My ears.
All right. Well, that started. Yeah, that started in the 80s with the yuppie period where everything was instant gratification. You can buy it on credit. You can buy it on credit. It started in the 80s. It got horrible with our generation. I agree.
They increased the interest.
They increased the interest. They had way more offers, easier to be approved. And then, here's something else was the issue. Remember when we were kids, it's another generational, we were West Bank, East Bank thing. The whole, carbon copy, slide shit. You could charge stuff for days, not get caught. Now, it's instant. They know whether you've been approved or not. As a kid, when we were younger, it wasn't so much instant. It'd be 2 or 3 days sometimes before they would catch up. Next generation, it's not the same situation.
Right.
So you could rack up a bill, and the issue is our generation. You just apply for another one.
Yeah.
And another one, and another one, and then eventually, when your credit report caught up a year later, then all right, fine. But by that point, you got $30,000 in debt. The tongue ring.
Stop it.
Right.
That's what it is. So, yeah. So I'm kind of glad that they've changed that a little bit. That may save our next generation or two from some of the debt issues, possibly. But
yeah, but not really. I just feel like they're putting you can't get approved for anything anymore without having like damn near perfect credit.
that may be good, depending on what it is.
Yep.
Because I do wish our generation wasn't approved so much.
Right. Yeah, I agree. You're 100%
Yeah,
right.
but I mean, we also live in a country that thrives off of their poor. So it's like.
Well, yeah, because when I was in economics class in college, they said if the United States decided as a whole to stop using credit cards for 3 days, that our economy would tank. So yeah, we do thrive on credit.
Somebody be in debt because there are $1 trillion in debt. So
We don't care. Who do we owe? Who's gonna make us pay?
exactly, I learned it from my
don't care.
forefathers. Who gonna make me pay? Like,
Right. I mean, technically, we buy our currency. We buy our currency on debt, which is weird because we'll not be able to pay it off. But technically, we buy our physical paper money on credit, which is weird. Because if you buy $1, but it costs you $1.18 to buy the dollar, but all the money is on you can't ever pay that off because you don't have enough money to pay off. Yeah, no, but that's how we do it. Because hey, we're not on the gold standard anymore. Nixon did that.
no.
Yep.
I don't know.
Nixon did that, but he's not a crook.
No.
All right, so quick question for y'all. Our generation in the 20th century grew up on audio and music being king. Now video is king, and video killed the radio star. What do y'all feel about that situation? Like I said, as a kid, not even a kid, just our generation before us. I mean, listening to Casey Kasem in the top 40 was a thing. And, now you can't release an album without having the videos to match, or else it flops. What do y'all think about that? Because remember when we was kids, like the song would come out, and then maybe like 3 to 6 months later, you might get a music video.
Only hits got music videos.
Right, you might get one. In fact, I look up songs now. I'm like, this doesn't have a video. Like I was like, what? This is a big song. You might get it now. You gotta release it with the video. Like it has to come out together. Now we're doing whole video albums.
Well, I think part of that has to do with the audio age dying out with the digital age. I mean, people don't go and buy CDs anymore. So in order to get people interested in the whole album, you have to make it a visual album. I mean, you can listen to everything on Spotify if you want to, but like in order for you to get the same sales as you would as somebody going into a store and picking up the album, you have to make it visual. It's all about how to sell the album now that it's no longer physical.
Yeah. Yeah, record stores aren't a thing anymore unless you're, a hipster or, you have
the only store in your town hasn't died.
Yeah, if you're an audiophile and you just love vinyl, I mean, there is definitely a a following for vinyl records, but yeah, that's not a thing.
I don't like that because then, it makes it harder for the audience to just appreciate good music as is. There's a lot of good music that's just being overlooked,
Yeah, it's harder. It's
And
harder to
then
be ugly with a good voice.
I mean, yeah, but like,
and then some bad songs are being hyped up even more because the video is so dope, and this song might really suck. So
Yeah, there's that, but also I feel that's why they came up with shows like The Voice, because a lot of times there would be people that have a great voice, make a hit song, people didn't know what they look like, or and it wasn't until they saw them live. It wasn't a thing. They didn't care as much. It was just the song was great, the voice was great, and that was it. You could be ugly with a great voice and be successful. But now, I mean, it has to come with the visuals. Like, it's a full thing. But as a creative artist, that may be another, that may be a release for you. Now you can do a full vision to go along with your song. I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of a different situation because I'm used to both. And I remember I had a friend of mine, and her mom was telling me about Barry White when Barry White came out. And at the time Barry White came out, like light skinned dudes are starting to be in the mix and whatever. And like when he first got started, people envisioned something totally different than this chunky, dark skinned dude named Barry White. Like they thought it was something else. And he would show up live, and they're like, "That's the dude that we've been like, grooving with." And it was like an issue, but he was already great by then. I don't know if that would have been something different.
If he
I
was
don't know.
different, if he looked different.
The people, and they're it's like it's like when you read a book and you make up in your mind what the character looks like, and then the movie come out like that's not what I thought that the person looked like in the book.
That's not what I say when a book becomes a movie. It's like y'all skipped all the good parts in the book.
I got you, but like sometimes you just come up with some vision of something, and it's just not, and that's what happened with Barry White, I guess. They didn't think it was because the way he was singing, they thinking he was like some smooth, suave, like fit, cool, chill cat, and he was like chunky, belly hanging over, type of dude. And this wasn't what they thought it was going to be at the time. Because they were used to people like the Dells and the Temptations and all those groups where they had like the more fit, skinnier dudes, and he just wasn't that guy. There wasn't a whole lot of chunky artists back then.
no,
There wasn't. I mean, you had like Fats Domino.
Not even just back then.
Yeah, that didn't. Yeah, it hasn't been. It's been more accepted lately. But you're right. For the most part, unless you were a rapper, most genres don't really have big dudes in them.
Mm-mm.
And even with the rapping, like you weren't big to the '90s. '80s rappers weren't big. What, like maybe a little bit of Heavy D in the late '80s? Oh, and the Fat Boys. But then their gimmick was being fat.
Right.
Like that was the gimmick, like Fat Boys. Yeah, there wasn't. Yeah, you weren't really fat back then. Plus, plus size women weren't really a thing. I mean, even Etta James wasn't that plus size compared, to women as a whole, but compared to other artists, she was. It wasn't a thing.
Nope.
It sucks. But now with the video coming out with it, it's just what it is. Now, I have a question. This is mostly probably for Sherelle, but definitely the other two. In terms of music, I feel like baritones, basses, and altos are out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, show.
Like, and that's disheartening as hell to me. Like,
I don't think the altos are out, but I do feel what you're saying. I feel like the altos are really being embraced.
Lately?
I feel like the sopranos are out.
What?
Like first sopranos. Like there's nobody out there singing like Minnie Riperton.
Well, no, but also I think that's part of a culture of cultivating vocal talent. I think that's a little bit different. You're right though. There's not many
About
Ripertons.
songs that other people can join in with, and so if you keep it in the middle ranges, other people can
True.
join
So
in.
alto 2 is definitely. I mean, yeah, soprano 2, whatever. Like soprano 1, like no, they're definitely not anyone that I can think of. Anyone listening to this, watching this, if you know of any soprano 1s that are making new music, let me know. Let us know. I want to hear what that is.
Not many, because now we got the talkie singy, the trapping B. So the Summer Walker and the
Right. Even if it's like not mainstream, you know anybody making brand new music that is a soprano, a true soprano, definitely want to hear this. I want to pump that person up because the last person I know to hit those bat notes was Mariah, and I don't know anyone past that was hitting that type of level.
They're not really. Yeah. I mean, you got some older artists that are still singing, who still making music, like Tamia, who's a soprano, and Shantae Moore, who's a soprano. But
they're older with our generation. They're
exactly.
Their hit songs were in the early 2000s.
The altos are prominent right now, but I do understand what you're saying.
Maybe it's just middle range. There's no baritones or basses doing anything for the most part.
They're keeping it middle range because they want you to be able to sing along because that's what you'll pay for.
Hey, I can hit them baritone notes real well. Yeah. Anyways, so you're right. Only basses and baritones I know are part of like a cappella groups that I listen to give that bottom to it, like Pentatonics and Homegrown, like those a cappella groups have the basses and baritones in there.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
They want to hear the soprano stuff, but they want to hear it from guys.
Well, that's always the case. They want to have your Eddie Kendrickses up there hitting them high notes.
So if they'll let the guys hit the high notes and the girls hit the lower mid to low range stuff.
Yeah, but I mean that's nothing new. I mean, since the 50s and doo-wop, they want the falsettos. They love even though for like people like Barry Gibb and Elder Bars, that's their natural singing voice. They want that high pitched hit. They want that Eddie Kendricks from the Temptations. That's always been. That's why I was blanking on this. Who does the song Falsetto that came out like 10 years ago?
Not T-Pain.
That could be anybody.
No, it's like the song is about singing high notes.
No, wait, it's right there on the tip of my tongue. It's
right, I can't remember
The Dream.
Right, here we go. Okay, so yes, the song is called Falsetto, about singing falsetto.
Oh my god.
And I was like, right, yep. And that because like people like women love normally the lead singer is the falsetto dude. Normally. And then sometimes, like the people that stand out in any singing groups is not the people in the middle, it's the falsetto and the bass. Those are the people that stand out. Or the person with the unique singing voice, David Ruffins, because no one's there to see you, Otis. Because Otis had a regular, middle of the range, nice harmonizing voice, but he wasn't, unique as a singer amongst the group.
Yeah.
And that's not what they want. But yeah, I feel like a generation doesn't really have, like the new generation doesn't really have anyone who's doing, you know, that. But then again, also something else. New generation is not about music dynamics. When we were kids, there was dynamics, highs, lows, different moods. There's no more.
They're about making some monotone song.
There's no more choreographed videos either.
No.
Like you had like Missy Elliott and like.
Well, that's our generation.
That had these choreographed, like even look at like J-Lo. Like J-Lo had choreographed videos, even though J-Lo couldn't sing all up there. Her videos were choreographed.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of that. There's some touches and little hints of shit. You're right, because I mean, I think about the 80s of Michael Jackson videos and whatnot. Jackson's.
You can even look into the 90s. I mean, look at the like the boy groups. Like look at NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Like look at look at the group. Like those were all choreographed. Like you don't.
Well, ain't no boy bands no more, so that's out.
But
that's gonna come back. Wait. Pause. Yes, there is.
BTS.
There is definitely. Yeah, I was saying BTS.
K-pop
is huge as fuck. Cause K-pop right now.
Know what BTS is.
They are a K-pop band. They are awesome, and they are all over the internet right now.
Speaking of K-pop, Blackpink just broke some records.
They're the girl version of BTS.
Yes, they just broke some records. Yeah, they broke some social media records.
The girl version is Blackpink.
Yeah, no, haven't heard of that.
You're like, nope, miss me. Okay,
when I say that, I'm speaking in general. You know, there's obviously going to be like one here, one there, but I'm speaking in general. There's hardly any groups.
What's the name of those Asian ones?
Name of who?
The Asian group.
The K-pop, BTS and Blackpink right now are like on top of the fucking world.
That's the Asian boys that sing?
Yeah.
Yes. The K-pop, Southern Korean.
K-pop is Korean pop.
Please don't be the all black lady. You mean them Asian boys? Don't do that. You mean the Asian boys? Yeah, the Asian boys.
I don't mean it like that, but you get what I mean. But you know, I'm speaking in general, like groups. There aren't many groups anymore. They're not like popping anymore.
They're gonna go in cycles. So you're gonna see them again soon. Just like the flip phone is coming back. The boy groups and girl groups will eventually cycle back, and they'll be a thing again. It's coming back. It's okay. Don't worry. There'll be some more.
Oh no, I'm worried.
Don't be worried. They're coming back. It's gonna make a comeback. Just like about 10 years before it happened, I don't know if Alicia remembers or not, I said that the box was gonna come back, the hairstyle, and it did. It's coming back. The boy groups are gonna come back.
A lot of things that, phased out is now trying to come back.
Well, see, all right, so I have this theory, and I should write a book one day. I think that a lot of trends go in a 30-year cycle. And that's because of the stuff you grew up with. So stuff you grew up with is a big influence on what you do. So when you get older, it's part of the things you create. So when doo-wop was a thing of the 50s and early 60s, the bands were huge, and then that died down and became the independent rockers, your Jimi Hendrix and your Janis Joplin and your Carlos Santana and stuff like that. But the people that have parents that grew up in the 50s and 60s are the ones that end up making the hits, the boy bands that we know of, the R&B groups of the late 80s and early 90s. And then that switched to the independent rockers and solo artists because their parents are the ones that grew up in the 60s, 70s where independent rockers were a thing and a rock thing. So then that became a cycle. So just like now when the 90s craze came back, because 90s is hot again, right? Bruno Mars and making stuff, everybody had that 90s feel. We're 30 years away from that again. From 1990, it came back 30 years later to start, a 90s resurgence. So I think it's always on this 30s type of trend that's going to swirl around. So that stuff's coming back, man.
Well, I guess we'll find out in our 60s.
All right, I don't want you to be the first in line to get tickets to the concert to the big boy band. The Asian boys.
The Asian boys.
The Asian boys. The Asian boys. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, man. I think it's been a great discussion, but what do y'all feel on this whole thing? I'm not gonna say final thoughts, but the whole thing on the relationship to media between our generation and the next.
I just feel like we're really grateful to have experienced so many different changes as far as media goes, and just yeah. So I'm glad. Like, I feel like we got the best of both worlds.
Analog to digital, man. We went.
Yeah, we got to appreciate both, and then if anything crazy were to happen, we would be able to exist without all of the perks and all of the gadgets and stuff we have today, and all the different things we have today. So like, we would be just fine going back if we ever needed to. So I think we're the coolest.
Oh, I still collect them. I still got my vinyls, I got my cassettes, I got CDs, and I definitely stream everything because I'm too lazy to actually put them on, but I still have them on.
Yeah, we know how to use all the stuff from now and till back then. Like, we know how to, we're just versatile. It causes us to be more versatile and more well-rounded.
If the internet went down tomorrow, what would this new generation do?
Lose their minds. Lose their minds.
Like, we played board games. Like, remember, we were the people who played.
Okay.
So wait, every month me and my girlfriends get together and hold a bottles and board games night, and we get drunk and play board games. It's the best. You could totally come.
Yo.
What do we do at my house?
Oh my
Alicia
God.
holds game night. She has game nights at her house. We come over and we drink bottles.
So the board. You wanna know who lost their minds? The board game industry. Have you seen new board games that's come out?
No.
They are horrendously horrible. Like
No, I buy collectibles of the ones I already know.
I got you. So I look at the ones that came out recently. They're trying to like, I don't know, like do something.
You know how many different Monopoly games I have? Like,
See, the thing is,
Monopoly Walking Dead. I have the original Monopoly.
You have the Walking Dead one? Oh, that's
what's the jail from The Walking Dead?
The zombies. It's like you're in the zombie thing.
Oh.
I have it.
So I got two. I got regular Monopoly and I have Ghetto-opoly.
I
have Nightmare Before Christmas and Back to the Future.
Monopoly was just it. Like, I have another one. I can't think of which one I have. I think John has like the Harry Potter one or whatever. Yeah, like we have like 3 different types of Monopoly. And same with like Connect 4. Like, we have the Mario version of Connect 4 and the original one. Like,
I have the original one. I don't know. They got these new ones.
We will work it out. We will go. We will figure it out, like, without internet. Like,
I'll play some Uno, play some Clue, we'll play some Battleship.
Right. We'll pull out the journals and the diaries. We'll start writing.
You know how to address a letter to anybody if the mail service shuts all the way, and I mean, like, if the internet shuts down, like, we know how to write a letter.
We know how to go door to door. We know how to go to businesses, ask if they're hiring, fill out a job application.
Man, yo, I bet you, if you try that now, you're going to look creepy as fuck. I bet you. They're going to tell you go online. All of them. Y'all hiring? I don't know. Go online.
I know how to make out a check. I have
I
kids
do too.
that
How about this?
that look at me crazy. They're like, Miss, I don't know how to do this.
Oh no, my favorite is when the product is like $4.25 and you give them $5.25 and they don't know what to fucking do. It's like, just give me $1.
Yeah,
Give
like
me
you
$1.
give them a $10 bill, a $10
Hey, yo, I
bill.
got all y'all beat, man. My mom, you know my mom, Elise.
Yes.
I had to write. She had this thing they set up for me. I had to write a check to get my allowance.
Bruh, shut the fuck up! I didn't know that.
Yo, for real. And not like, cause she wanted me to make sure I knew how to use like the checking system. So in order for me to make a withdrawal from my account,
Her purse.
right?
Ali.
She had this little kitty checkbook. So talk about balancing a checkbook. I balanced a checkbook for a checking account that didn't exist. How about that one?
Hey, at least you know how to do it.
Oh, I definitely know how to do it. I know how to do it so much that I never want to do it again.
Right. We know how to write in cursive.
Hell yeah, I know how to write in cursive. Occasionally, I still do it.
I never understand how they just stop teaching these kids. So it's going to be documents that these kids can't read.
Well, digital signatures. That's what's happening.
That shouldn't even be allowed. Like,
well, yeah, they don't even teach handwriting anymore. They don't teach cursive.
No, they don't.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. Like that shouldn't even be allowed.
So here's what's going to happen.
Written off. I think that right there is strategic.
I got a plan.
Guess what, guys? We know how to sound out words because we taught how to sound out a word. These kids don't know how to sound out anything.
We know how to form complete sentences.
We know how to do math that's not common core. So listen. I got a plan though against our grandchildren. We're going to come up with a world dominating plan, but all the plans are in cursive. And they won't know what we're doing.
I say let's do it because I mean they just decide to take cursive out without.
Hold up, they're gonna think that we are senile and lost our minds to put us in the home because we wrote scribbles on a page with a bunch of loops and shit. And they're gonna be, what is this? He's crazy.
That right there to me is being very, very strategic with that. Very strategic.
Then go back to us making slave X's.
To be taught these things. Like you guys have to remember, we are the last generation.
The last ones. That's it. It's over.
Unless we teach our children, they're not going to be taught these things. I can't.
But there are definitely things that my parents learned that our generation, the same situation where we just aren't going to be taught these things. We weren't taught these things, and we never have to use it. Now, there's certain things that I know because my parents were really old and they made me learn it just so that I could help them out. But like, she's laughing because she knows.
Wait,
she knows.
Do you remember when it was like Gladys Knight and who was doing the verses and somebody put out a meme that was like, I will not be telling my mom or my grandmother that this is happening because I do not want to be tech support. I want to enjoy this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, this Gladys Knight and
the whole thing. The whole time. How?
Patty LaBelle.
Gladys Knight and Patty LaBelle.
What channel is it on?
Oh my goodness.
What channel is it on?
Whoa.
Where's the TV guy?
Do this. Can you do this? Come here. Come put this.
No, my favorite meme right now is the one where it's like Michelle Obama and that one. She's like really pretty and she's like on like Nickelodeon, but she's really creepy. I can't remember her name. She's a little girl. Anyway, it's like when you help your mom set up an email account and now she tells everybody that you fix phones.
Oh shit. I love the one about, like where parents are in awe of the simple shit. Like you reset the router just by unplugging it and plugging it back in. They think you're like the most computer whiz genius.
Yep.
But that was my mom. My mom was a flip out.
Generation, period.
Right. I helped my grandma navigate a Word document. Like just typing up a word.
I got you. It took me 2 hours to get my mom set up on Skype.
She thought I was like the most tech savvy. Oh, how did you do that? I need to go take me one of them classes. What classes, Grandma?
See, right. I tell my mom, just press a button, see what it does, and explore. That's it. That's it. Like, but they don't want to do that. And then, you know what happens? I can tell you, I used to tell my mom, hey,
they
look,
get mad at you for going too fast.
No, here's what happens. They do when my mom does that. She goes, slow down. I'm like, I did 3 things. You need to slow down. But my mom has this knack for getting to places on a computer I've never seen before. Like if she's left to her own devices and she's clicking on shit, I'd be like, how'd you even get here? What is this? Where are we on the computer system that you got to? What?
Yep. You don't even need to be here. Why are you touching stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandma is on Facebook.
Wow, man.
No. I literally have a a message from my mom saying, why won't you add me on Facebook? I said, I don't know who this is because you don't have a picture.
But it's called Facebook.
How do I know it's really you?
Yeah, that's what I told her too. I said, how do I know this is Yelene Huff? You don't have a picture.
Put your face on it.
But somehow, so somebody can steal my identity. I'm like, Grandma.
Right. It's like D.L. Hughley. It's gonna make my light bill go up. Gonna put my face on it.
Grandma, they still credit card numbers. They don't steal faces no more. They still credit card numbers. Numbers.
Yeah, my mom is so concerned about identity theft on the most simple
that's
stuff.
Something that's definitely gonna change. The idea of identity theft for the simple fact that everything that's anything that we have is out there. Like if you want it real bad, you won't get it. Like
I tell my mom all the time because she's all about paper, hard copy, my write a check. I'm like, Mom, as soon as they get the paper from you in the mail, they put it on the internet. They immediately put it right there in the system on the internet. That's it. Like
I still have to explain to my mom
they do all
that when you get onto the computer and get onto your email, that if you get onto a different computer, you do not have to create a new email.
She thinks it's only for that computer?
Yes, she does. Yes.
Okay, all right, you got my mom beat. Damn, okay. All right, so here's a question. Here's a question that's going to show your age now. And it's been something I've been watching and laugh my ass off about. If you were going to make a hand gesture about making a phone call, what would it be? Have y'all seen this?
Yep. We do this.
There we go. All right. So right, that's us.
Right.
Now, when they ask people that are Zoomers in Gen A, when they make a phone call, what's the hand gesture? They go like this.
Which doesn't make any sense to me because you don't hold a phone.
I got you. But you also don't hold a phone like this either.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Like
it's the shape of a phone that we grew up with. I got you. Now, first of all, they're confused by the question. Like, our age, we're like, oh yeah, they're right here. Like, hey yo, call me. Like, bro. But like, saying this to them, like, first their face is like, why would I make a hand gesture about making a phone call? So there's confusion.
Because barely anybody's gonna.
They don't do that, but then they go like, this.
This is coming from beeper culture, where like you had to go to a in order to answer your beeper.
Yeah. So all y'all just old like me. Y'all do like this. That's not what they do anymore. That's not it no more. It's this. This is the new hand gesture for phone calls.
I just want to get y'all's thoughts on, because we're going to go through another change where our currency is going to change, where they're going to a cashless society.
I'm with it.
I've already got my stocks in place.
I'm ready to go.
I don't like the idea of it.
Me neither. I don't like the thought of it.
Why not?
Because to me, it's going to be a way that they control everything.
They already do.
They already do control. It's nothing new.
Well, I mean, duh. But they're gonna go even further with it.
They don't control everything, by the way.
Like what? Name something.
I'm a server. I don't claim all my tips.
Okay.
So I don't have to. So with this new cashless society, I have to now claim every dollar I make.
You
Where
know,
before when
okay, so I got a way. Well, I don't.
Credit card. That's
All right.
all. Because
No middleman when it comes to my money like that. Not with
So
every bit of money that I make.
Now they're clocking every dollar, every cent I have as a server.
Also, when as a singer,
I'm just saying.
oftentimes I'm being paid, your hand to mine.
Cash.
Right.
Right.
So
There's not going to be any more tipping.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of that.
Me neither.
So to both of y'all, actually, there is a way around that. Now, I don't know. As a singer, you can definitely do this now. As a server, I don't know if your restaurant's going to be cool with that. So there's digital tipping, and you can use cryptocurrency to do it. So they have digital tip jars. And what they work is the same way the tip jar would, except for people use their cards instead of using cash. And it comes as a little circular thing, whatever, almost like the square, but the squares are traceable. But this is something different.
I like multiple options.
All right.
I mean, on one hand, I was somewhere, somebody wanted to tip me, they didn't have any cash, so they were able to cash at me. That was cool. But on the other hand, I like that money being in my hand.
Right.
Sound like my mom with her paper checks.
I want my cash in my hand. Then, say something wild comes out my account. Now all my money's gone, and I'm overdrafted, and I have no cash on me now.
All right, that's when you have multiple accounts.
Yeah, no. I want some cash in hand.
Right.
You're gonna be that old lady. Your grandkids are gonna be like, "Yo, grandma,
we
don't do that no more."
I'm gonna be that auntie.
I'm not saying cash
flipping them $5 and $10 bills to their Cash App.
Brandon, I'm not saying cash only. I'm saying I like the options.
The option's gonna be gone.
Right,
yeah,
but that's not fair.
Yeah, but
that's like the gold standard's gone.
Well, here's the thing, though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like for me as a server, as in the service industry, we're screwed on that end because we work off of our tips. We work our money. Most places only pay you $2.83 an hour, and everything else is based off of your tips. And I don't get a lot of credit card tips. I get people who like to round up. So if it's $15.39, they want $20. So they will do it for $20. And it's but I did everything. That's not my 20% tip. Where people who carry cash, because they're not clocking their money like they typically do with their credit card, I get more cash tips than I do credit card tipping.
And that's where the digital tip jar comes into place.
People aren't going to do that. People aren't going to want to keep swiping their card. I already have that problem now. I have that problem now. People don't want to keep swiping their card over and over again for this, that, and the third. So for me, the service industry, people are screwed. I mean, I won't be in the service industry too much longer just because this is where I'm working to finish school. But I feel bad for people who are serving because people make their livelihood. I walk out of work some $400 in straight tips, cash, not anything else. So it's
I never understood why servers got paid so little.
All right, so this is an American thing. I mean, there are other countries that do it, but it's really big in America, and other countries look at us like we're stupid. You're right. But employers are like, well, they're getting tips. I don't got to pay them as much for them to make minimum wage, and it's stuck as a culture, and it's retarded.
Well, yeah, because in other countries, the gratuity is already included with your bill, which is why in some countries it's seen as an insult to add a tip on top of whatever is there. But I would think that would have to come with whoever we place in office, and that gets into a topic of conversation we don't need to get into, but like that's where that would come from. Like when it comes to your everyday workers, people it seems to forget about the retail worker and the service worker because they're the ones who get the short end of the stick. So either the gratuity has to be included in the bill already, so that people who are working in service can get paid like an actual living wage,
So
or
here's
they
the
need to
thing with that,
increase
Elise.
where that amount starts.
You ready? You ready where that becomes an issue? Because now, like, my employer is already talking this talk with us. So not only are we paying in our paycheck with our regular paycheck for taxes, now we have that, now our tips are being taxed. So where I would just get my flat out $400 walking out of work on a night, now that money goes straight into my check where it's taxed. So now I'm being slighted again because I'm being taxed off of what my tip would be to make me whole.
Right.
Gotcha. No, that's sucky. That is. I mean, being paid, I guess, under the table is part of how a lot of people survive.
Right.
I get it. And as a musician, I definitely get what Sherelle's talking about, man. Like being paid cash or some sort of untraceable thing, whether it's Cash App or whatever, directly to you, not as part of a W-2, W-9s, and all that other stuff. Yeah, that helps. That helps with the bottom line for musicians. Definitely does.
Right.
And so many venues will be fucking around with the tip thing, and we want W-2s and W-9s, and man, nope, I don't want to hear all that.
Right.
So what's the final thoughts, guys?
We're the best generation ever, period.
Hey.
In the conversation.
You know what it is? Final thought is, sometimes I feel like going back to pirating like we did with Napster and
I mean, that's happening.
all that.
That's
happening.
I feel
there
like way too many streaming platforms. I'm gonna find a way, please.
Yo, find a way. It's already there. Yo, hit me up, man. We're gonna go back.
All right.
We're gonna fly the Jolly Roger. We're gonna go back to this digital earth. There's it's never gone away. It's always there.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's the mentality now. The difference is the Zoomers, and they don't know what to do with that. That's not a thing. We're like, sure, we're going back to pirating. Why not? That's our thing. But, hey, that's my final thought on that. Oh, and my other final thought from earlier: get outside your echo box. Get outside of your normal comfort zone.
Yeah.
And take a look at some other people's situations and livings and
your own thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely do that. See what it's at, man. Because you know what though? Overall, the whole rule is you can effectively.
Social worker.
What happened?
What?
I said, you know what that sounds like? A social worker.
Sure.
It is. We got to get outside of ourselves to understand people because we help people of all nationalities.
Yeah, I've done that work.
Everything, points of view, everything.
No, gotta get outside yourself, man. Because you know what? Even if it's the goal of challenging other people, you can't properly challenge someone else without understanding their perspective.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You can't. So that's where I'm at right now. So that's my final thought. Get outside yourself. There it is. Have an out-of-body experience, at least academically.
Elise, any final thoughts?
My last final thought is to continue to stay on top of what's going on, because I for one do not want to be like my parents where I am so behind in what's happening that I think that my email can only be accessed from one computer. I just on top of understanding the other side, other opinion. As much as I love our generation, because we are on both sides of that, because we like, it's very easy for us to dip toward the them Asian boys.
Them Asian boys.
And I feel like we should do better and work on, releasing some of those boundaries. In certain cases, I'm not saying go buck wild, but at the same time, like, I just move along with the tide, so.
All right. We can try to do that.
Real.
You know what though? There's some people in our age group already is like, what's up with this TikTok? I can't get down with the TikTok.
Right. Like.
And I feel like, y'all sound old. The problem is this though. When I said that, they're like, I am old. That's the response I've been getting. I'm like, y'all are lost now. Y'all just.
Yeah, we could talk about how I feel about that later.
Okay, but that's the start. That's the beginning.
We'll be here forever. Okay.
All right, now we're gonna go. All right, go ahead.
All right.
The beginning. We're getting old.
Real.
I refuse to put myself in that mindset. I can't.
I don't have a lot to say, but I will say that I am blessed because my mom is pretty with the times. So she kind of knows what's going on and what to do for the most part. I might help her here and there with that, but I want to make sure that I'm that way as well. And I don't really have a lot to say. We're the coolest. Senior millennials are the coolest. That's just it.
It is. Right. Remember ordering music from BMG in Columbia House. Buy one CD, get 12 for a penny. That's right. I did that.
Every weekend at Blockbuster.
There's only one Blockbuster left.
Out movie.
There's one Blockbuster left, and you can rent it out on Airbnb.
Going
Shut up, you can?
Yes. Yes, there's one Blockbuster left in the whole country. You can rent it out for Airbnb. The store looks the same, but they have one section that's like a big screen with like all this like real laid out super lounge seating for you to like sleep on.
Can you watch whatever movie you want?
All the ones in Blockbuster.
Whatever's
in the store.
Brandon, where's it located?
I want to say Oregon. I think it's whatever it is.
I'll double check. Like, if the movie theaters don't open back up, I'm gonna be so sad.
Why?
Because I enjoy going to a movie. Like, I enjoy leaving my apartment
and spending $40 on popcorn.
I don't spend $40. It's just me. Like, I just go get my little popcorn.
My big ass purse.
That's why she buying the small popcorn for like $18.
I don't spend $18, but yeah, like I like going. I like the atmosphere. I like being away from home where there's no distractions for me. Like, I like the experience of going to a movie.
You can still go to drive-ins. Drive-ins are still a thing right now.
They definitely came back with the pandemic.
Yeah. Drive-ins are kind of sucky when you're alone. It's not the same. Like, it's not the same.
It's the same.
Wait, pause. So you'll go to the theater alone, but not the drive-in?
I didn't say I wouldn't go. I said it's a different feeling. It's a different vibe. When you're in your car by yourself watching a movie, like, you're kind of uncomfortable. Like, it's not the same feel to me.
Okay.
I enjoy,
agree with that.
Experience. I like the experience of being at a movie theater. In the car, your legs are cramped up. You're by yourself. You're looking over. Nobody's gonna be like, "Ha, look at this." It's kind of weird to me in the car, as opposed to being in the theater.
Okay.
So you're not the only one who feels this way.
I'm speaking as like going as a single woman, just going to a movie.
Got you. And a lot of the theater industry feels the same way. The new trends with streaming plus the pandemic. They're really upset with the fact that a lot of movie theaters are now considering just going straight to streaming and bypassing the theater experience. So it's very possible that our generation may be the last one for movie theaters.
I hate that. I hate the idea of that.
I am on the fence.
Well,
Brandon, they'll show up
I think
when
that what will
we-
end up happening is the same thing that's happening for drive-ins, where there'll be a few that will still do movies, and they'll probably be maybe a little bit more expensive, even more than they are now, just because depending on what they show.
It's going to be a novelty now. It's going
Right.
to be a specialty thing. It's going to be so common. I got you.
Right.
Because, you
Yeah,
know,
because,
the
like,
one
you
thing
know,
they
you
need is to
think
be
of
more
a kid-
expensive.
You think of a kid, like, you know, we used to get out the house and go to a movie as a family. You know, like, it's just date night. It's a good date night thing to do. Like,
So is Netflix and
I
chill.
was in 6th
Shut
grade
up,
with my
Renee.
12th birthday, and I went to go see Titanic because I was so excited to see Titanic in theaters, and my parents let me invite 5 other friends,
So-
and it was a birthday experience.
Yeah, so for me and my dad was huge on movies and TV, so we went every Friday
Right.
for years. And it didn't even matter if it was a good movie or not. We went every Friday and we picked the movie, whether it was a good one coming out or not. But what I like is what they started doing where you can rent out theaters to watch classics.
I do
I
like the
want to
idea
do
of that.
that.
I do like the idea of that. That's pretty cool.
I want to rent out a
So,
theater and
you
watch
know,
what I pick.
sometimes I want to swing by there, watch a movie, and go home and go to bed or whatever. Like, I don't know.
So, to answer your earlier question, because I looked it up, the last surviving Blockbuster is in a town called Bend in Oregon, which I thought, well, yeah, you can go ahead and have a sleepover at the world's only surviving Blockbuster store in the world.
Interesting.
So you can go in there and you can pick your Terminator 2s and, you know, your Rocky and whatever else you're going to watch. Jurassic Park. And you can Airbnb Blockbuster in Oregon.
Ooh.
So
All
no
right.
one know. Yeah, our generation doesn't know about the next generation. Know about the whole getting fined for not rewinding your tape. Hey, Elise, quick little thing. Somebody else remember this. Granddad had a separate machine just for rewinding tapes.
Yeah, absolutely. We had one too.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I remember when ours broke and we had to go to Radio Shack to get another one.
Look at that. Another oldie
Radio
store there,
Shack.
Radio Shack. That, remember the commercial? That was like the hot spot to buy gifts for dad.
Yeah.
Was that Radio Shack? Christmas, go to Radio Shack for dad. He'll love it.
For that.
Radio Shack and Home Depot.
Hey, man, that was the thing. So that's where we're at. All right. So if you're in Oregon, you're probably not listening to this show, but if you are, go ahead and rent yourself a Blockbuster.
So to close us out,
Keep movie theaters alive.
For Sherelle, I don't like paying $40 for popcorn.
Name one store other than Radio Shack that we used to shop at when we were young that no longer exists.
Circuit City.
Toys R Us.
Kmart with the food court that has Little
Hills.
Caesars pizza.
Kaufman's.
Icy's.
Horns. Hills. Ames.
Hills.
Montgomery Ward.
Ooh. Fancy. Pier 1 Exports just went out of business, too.
Illich's
Bond.
going out of business.
How about this one? Do y'all
JCPenney's
remember?
Going out of business.
No, they're
It
not.
is.
No, they're not.
Oh, they're doing well.
They got bought out by another company.
To
But their
IKEA?
remain JCPenney's. They
New
have
York and Company is going.
How about this? How about KB Toys? Remember KB Toys?
KB
remember Toys R Us?
Oh, well, yeah, but wait, Toys R Us is still online. KB Toys is gone.
You can't go to the store like everybody remembers the jingle. What's the jingle?
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. We're playing Toys R Us I can play with.
Right. And
there's something in video games.
What our parents give us every year, the Toys R Us catalog. And we have to pick out our toys. But our
want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Exactly. My parents used to bring home the Toys R Us catalog and said,
and tell you, hey, pick out what you want. You have to circle and all shit, and they be like,
do it so Santa could bring it.
You ain't getting all this, right? And then I remember that. I got you, but KB Toys is gone. They're gone. Toys R Us is at least online. KB is gone. Yo, remember Kids R Us? That was a damn store.
Payless. Payless is still around. It's just that they downsized a lot of their locations. Payless is now online now for most people who can't get to one that's far out.
See, they're live and they're going online, but some of them are just gone.
Shit.
They're gone.
For them cheap ass shoes. I used to pay that just because I needed a pair of kick around shoes that I didn't want to ruin my good shoes.
Some kids. Some kids. Where is kids at? Well, let's see what about some kids.
I'm just asking a question. I just need an answer. Who's paying shipping for them cheap ass shoes?
The elder.
Shipping's free.
Because I'm sorry, but
I can't.
Payless shoes work just fine for me. So
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm also not going to buy. I used to buy the ones that look like Tim's. I used to buy those ones to play.
The Colorados or Mountaineers?
I hate you so much.
To play outside in the snowing because I'm not messing up my Tim's that I just
get them duck boots. Remember them duck boots? Every kid had them duck boots.
No, okay. I usually, whenever it comes to Payless, I usually get my heels and my flats from them. I don't get tennis shoes from them ever.
Well, heels and flats, I mean, I buy those anywhere. But
man,
Forever 21, I buy them at. I mean,
that's about to be gone.
It'll be
all gone, and then they came back, and then
I don't like Forever 21 because they only have like 3 plus size stores. All the other stores are for people who are under like size 10 down, and all of their
quality of plus size clothes that they have there are whack. Like the quality of plus size clothes they have at Forever 21 is
trash.
Can't relate.
Whatever, big and tall.
Yeah, so you know what? I think y'all understand something. Because I don't get it. Those stores that are titled big and tall are this much shit is called big. They don't have shit for tall people. I'm gonna tell you what happens.
We don't need to get it. We have our own separate list of
I understand that, but I can kind of relate. I'm 6'4", and they stop the shit at a certain height and they just get fatter. Like they just go wide.
Like this, but it ain't going like this.
Exactly. Here's what ends up happening, right? Because my inseam is at a minimum of 34 inches, right? And what happens, they'll go to 32 and stop and then just get wider. Like that. We're talking about 50-inch waist, like big Dr. Robotnik Sherman Clump, big ass pants. Huge, but they won't go any taller. Yeah, so that's cool. I go online
with my husband who is short and he has love handles. So it's like his is like he can't find anything.
He can get a belt. Listen, I can't find nothing long enough.
What I'm saying is like this much pant is left at the bottom.
Oh,
this much pants.
See,
and it's like hanging on the ground. This much pant is hanging.
He can get that tailored. I can't find shit long enough.
And his is too long.
That's fine. They can cut that off. That's fine.
You gotta get hemmed. Well, how about we cut off his and we'll send it to you to get added.
Yeah, that don't look right. That don't look like piece and clothes together. Horrible.
All right, y'all.
Shirtless.
All right,
we gotta go. We can talk about this forever.
We want to thank Elise for joining us. We have Alicia. We have me, Mike. And I'm Real Unique. We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.